Hey, welcome back everybody. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about basic CSS, okay? We're going to be talking about how to style all of the elements, the HTML elements that we've been putting into the page. So first off, I want to show you what exactly is going on with my screen. You can see here I've got an HTML document open up in brackets, and then I have that same HTML document opened up in Chrome. So this file and this file are exactly the same. They're the same file. So if I make changes or edits in this particular document right here, I save it. When I go to refresh it over here, my changes should show up. So again, that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be talking about how to put in style into our page, and we're going to talk about how does the CSS, this cascading style sheets, affect the tags down here. Okay, so first off, I want to show you that I've got H1, A, P, I got an A tag right there, I got another P tag down here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start formatting the basic block tags or block elements that you see like right here. H1 and P, they're going to be the ones I go to first and I start styling. Now, you'll notice that I have one new tag up here. I've got what's called a style tag and a slash style tag. Okay, now this style tag is where I'm going to put my CSS code. Okay, I'm going to put that right in there. Now you'll also notice that it exists inside the head of the document. So this is where we get into the head of the document because this is information for the page, right? But it doesn't show up technically in the browser as content. Okay, so it's styling that is for the page, but it doesn't show up in the it doesn't show up as content like picture, text, or whatever in the in the body of the page. So that's where we're going to put our style tags. It's in between the head tags. Okay, so that means that we're going to be putting all of our CSS into these two style tags. Okay, so we're going to put them in there, and then the CSS is going to affect the tags that are down here in the body of the page. So again, this is why we're starting to use the head tag. It's going to go in there. So let's start off with something very simple. Let's start off with a new selector. So in order to attach CSS styling to an HTML tag, we can put in a selector. Now, good news. We can select almost all the tags, which is crazy. So I can actually select the body tag and change it. So this body tag down here, I can select it up here in my style sheet. I can type in just body. Notice that I'm not putting it in a tag, I'm just typing in body. Okay? Then I put in something called curly brackets. You'll see the curly brackets next to the P on your keyboard. Okay? They're there, you hit shift and you hit the beginning one and the end one. And your CSS declarations, or the things that we're going to be changing about the body, that's going to go inside the brackets. Okay? Now, usually what I like to do is I like to put a return between the two brackets, the beginning bracket and the ending bracket. The reason I do that is that it gives me space to work and start putting in our CSS. Now remember, HTML and CSS doesn't really care too much about space. Okay, so the space between the code or the selectors and all that doesn't matter a whole lot. Okay, so just understand that you can put some space in here just so it's easier to read. But you definitely want to do that. So I'm going to start off with body. I'm going to change the background color of body. So I type in, this is called a property, and it's called background color. Okay, now I can change it to whatever color that I want. Let's say I want to make it blue-violet. Okay, so I type in background-color, that's the code word or the property. I type in a colon. So a colon goes between the property and the value, okay? So you can see the value is right there. It's blue-violet, all right? Then down below, I can put in additional ones. Now, I can change all the text on the page. I can go to color. Color changes the color of all the text at once. And let's say that we want to use chartreuse, which is like a green, okay? And after that, let's say that font family. I'm going to change the font right here. So your HTML fonts usually default to Times New Roman. You can see that right here. This is all Times New Roman. This is Times New Roman. I'm going to change that to Arial. Okay, so remember, this is the body. It's doing it for the entire page. Okay, so let's test this. I have body as my selector. These three things, my page should change a lot. So I go up to File, Save, and then boom, look at that. You can see that my background color for the entire page is like that purple color. Then we have chartreuse for the text color, and you'll notice that the text itself is now Arial instead of Times. Okay, so that's our big change here. Now, what happens if we want to change the other tags? Well, we can do that. Okay, after the close of that curly bracket, we can start typing in the other tags or selectors. Okay, so in this situation, I'm using P. Now notice I'm not using a tag, I'm just using P. Okay, I have my curly brackets, I go inside, hit return, then I'm going to do background color again. I'm going to just try it out, because you can do the same properties for every single tag, so I can change this how I want. So I'm going to make this Alice Blue, and I'm going to make the color in here something different. So I'm going to say that the color is going to be dark gray. We'll try that out. And we're going to leave it like that. So I'm going to go to Save, or File Save, sorry. And you can see here, oh, look at that. My paragraph tags are all now gray. And the text inside my paragraph tags is dark gray. Or I'm sorry, it's Alice Blue. That's the background color. It's dark gray. So you can see that SpongeBob is still chartreuse, and it's still big. And it doesn't have an Alice Blue background. So that means that only my P tags have been affected by the CSS. Now let's say that we want to go back in and we want to change H1, because that's our last tag that we have that's a block element. Okay, I put in my curly brackets again, and then over here, let's try background color again. Colon, let's go with dark green, and then the color is going to be white. Okay, so let's try that and see what happens. File, Save, and look at that. Now you can see that the H1 actually spans across the entire page. That's because it's a block element. Same thing with paragraph. Paragraph spans across the entire page because it's a block element. Now you'll notice that my inline elements haven't really changed, these A tags. We'll get into that later, but you can see here it hasn't been changed. Now let's talk about something else. Let's talk about something called padding, border, and margin. I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper in another video, but just real quick, I'm going to show you something. So let's say for our H1 tag, I want to add some more space above and below where that is, and I want to put a border around it. Okay, so I can put in something called padding. Okay, and what padding does is that it gives me space between the content, which is the text, and the border, the line between the purple and the green. So it's going to give me space between there. Okay, so let's try 5px, and px stands for pixels. Let's see what happens. Say File, and you can see I have over here some space now. I have 5 pixels of space above and below SpongeBob. Let's change that to 50 and save. Now I have 50 pixels between here and the top here. Okay, so that means that I have 50 pixels of space above and below, and that's called the padding. Now let's try border. Now border is interesting because border has 3 values in it. Okay, the first value is the width of the border. I'm going to go with 2px. Now we put in a space, we tell it what type of border to have, and that type could be solid, dotted, dashed. Okay, we're going to go with solid for now. And then after that comes the color of the border. I'm going to have the color of the border be yellow. Okay, just like that. And remember, whenever you're doing these CSS declarations, put a semicolon at the end. So you can see here I've got a semicolon after each one. Now on this one here, I've got 3 values and I have 1 semicolon at the end, and that's how you're going to work with border. So I'm going to click File, Save, and you can see now I have a 2-pixel border around the entire thing. So this is kind of like the start of how you can start designing your web page. Okay, you can start putting in colors, borders, spacing, all those kinds of things. And CSS is the way to do it. All right. So again, I formatted body P H1, and you can see I'm messing around with something called padding, and I'm messing around with something called border. Now we're going to get back into these later. These are going to be expanded upon, and we're going to talk about, well, you know, are there other things? What can we do? And we can apply these padding and border to all of our elements, which is really powerful. Okay, so guys, I think I'm going to leave off there. Just remember that CSS, the style tags, they go inside the head. Remember that CSS is a different language than HTML, but it relates to HTML, and all of our CSS goes inside the style tag. So just remember that. These are selectors, body PH1. They point to the tags down below. And then we have our CSS declarations. We have background dash color. We have our value right here and our property. Okay, so just remember that structure and the punctuation that goes between, and you'll be great. All right, guys, thanks.